of okay, but they're like online videos for like various aspects of life. There's like a guy that talks about it's like Gordon Ramsay teaching you how to do beef Wellington to this guy talking to you about sleep and how much sleep is imperative and helpful to your immune system on like a molecular level. So like even on like your like a cellular level, the amount of sleep that you have is inherently linked to how good your immune system is. So it was just funny that you guys are talking about how you have these set bedtimes and
Yeah.
that you know what I mean. I've been taking the well, I just got finished watching like a 10-minute video about a guy telling me about how much sleep and the sleep schedule is good for your immune system and like overall well-being.
Yeah, I've heard that. Was my mom saying it? Like growing up, like if you don't get enough sleep, you start getting weaker and get sick. And I've noticed, like back in the day when I would get not get much sleep for a long stretch, sure enough, I would not feel as well. Not even just tired, but like almost like you have a cold and stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, I will say I don't have a set bedtime. I just go to bed when I'm tired,
Right
and
on.
and right
No,
now
no, there's
I'm
nothing wrong.
I'm tired and frustrated because that Bearcat game.
Oh my god, dude, unbelievable. Like I don't. Towards the end of the game, just piss poor execution.
Yep.
Like they're missing the shooter. I know Lukosius had a couple of big shots, but it's just too inconsistent. I do like the way that Day Thomas. He reminds me a lot of Steve Logan. He's got big Steve Logan energy. You know what I mean? Like gets those shots, undersized guard, but they're like they're just missing the big shot. A guy that consistently get it. Everything else is there.
Well,
I
the thing that's frustrating too is Locken throwing out that one shot. Dude,
yes.
well, that was stupid.
Just what are you doing? Like you're
Right.
fucking 7 foot tall. You should be getting a layup.
Yeah, don't launch up a bad three, and on top of it, you haven't made anything tonight.
Yeah, I believe he had like one basket going into that shot, if that.
Oh, he did
It's
finally have one at that point. Maybe I think you're right now you say that because I feel like he made one shortly after the announcers made it a point they hadn't made any. I can't remember now.
it's just I mean, you got to win that game.
Yeah, should have won that game.
It I know it's growing into the Big 12. Every game's a dogfight, but I mean, with West Virginia losing Huggins, they should be on the ropes. I know they got all these fucking names and guys in the NIL, but still, like, you had to feel that the team chemistry for the Bearcats would have would have gotten you the victory. But it's going to be like that all year. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
you
just
kind of expected
frustrating.
that. It's just frustrating because you get those glimpses where they're like unstoppable for 5 minutes, and you're like, damn,
Exactly. Because
yeah,
they were up
this is gonna be
they were up
sweet.
10.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But
Yeah, and
then,
then they just start like chucking up threes and doing like heat checks and then stupid turnovers.
yeah, they get all out of whack and things bog down, and then next thing you know, you're hoping on 5 minute scoring drought from the other team, and you
Yeah.
can't depend on that to like get victories. But overall, I mean, we expected this. I mean, real hardcore Bearcat fans knew that they were going to join the Big 12 and being legitimate top three of the league like they have been
Yeah.
in pretty much every other league they've been in. Like there's going to be a step down because now you got Kansas. You got every team each night is in the top 25, and if they aren't, they've got like some guy that can go off for 25 or something crazy like that too.
Yeah, you're right. It's just I think it's frustrating in the moment type thing, but when you pull yourself away, you realize it. But like just the fact, like I said, the fact we were up by 10 in the second half there, and it felt like we were pulling away, and then we just let them come back in, and I don't know. I think it's also it's frustrating in that moment because I feel like we're better than the results a lot of times. We just need to string some things together. But we are a good team. I like this team. It's just I don't know. I guess you can tell their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
The young team, that's for sure.
Exactly.
And it's only going to get younger because they got a bunch of freshmen. I mean, you got those. I think they got two kids that come in the McDonald's All American game, and then the kid that's from Taft,
Ray Ray.
Griffin.
Yeah, Ray Griffin.
Yeah, he'll be playing next year. So it's only going to get a little bit harder, but we'll see how they do.
I mean, does John Newman want to play a seventh year?
Yeah. Maybe
So
he'll
what?
get credit eligibility.
Come back, man. Yeah, that was crazy that injury he had.
Yeah, I hope he's all right. I mean, he's that's how he's gotten so many years of eligibility. I think he had one there was like from COVID, but he also had one from injury. So I don't know. I just hope he's not like that dude from Miami that's like,
A tight end that's been playing for
yeah,
9 years.
ninth year of eligibility. Like, come on, bro. Last year, his stats, he had 4 catches. Come on. Come on, man.
I think it's
Give it.
time for you to graduate to the next level.
Yeah. It's time for you to fucking go on to real life.
Right. You
He's
want to try
like,
the NBA? I mean, something.
Gotta
like,
start drinking IPAs and white wines.
oh man. What did you guys think about the playoff games this past week?
Well, I have a question for you, Mark, based on the text messages uh, about Sunday.
Yeah,
So, for the record, I was saying that you could mention and you should start mentioning Patrick Mahomes in the realm of Tom Brady, and that you could say he's probably a better quarterback than Peyton Manning. And the stats, I brought stats, right? So this is Patrick Mahomes' uh, career playoff statistics, which it equates a regular season in the NFL, 17 games. His record is 14-3. He has 4,802 passing yards with a 67% completion percentage, 39 touchdowns, 458 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. That's that's his playoff record so far. Now, Peyton Manning, I looked up career like passing yards and touchdowns,
touchdowns.
interceptions, and all that. Peyton Manning has 7,379 passing yards, 40 touchdowns, and 25 interceptions for his career in the playoffs. I didn't even look up Tom Brady's stats because I think he has 35 playoff wins. So Mahomes is like nowhere close to that. But 6 seasons, he's playing in his, what is this, fourth Super Bowl?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Fourth Super Bowl. That's unheard of. Six
Yeah.
AFC championship games. He's 14-3. He's only lost to Tom Brady twice and Joe Burrow. That's it. That is it. It's like if you don't, I know it's absurd to say like because Peyton Manning was absolutely legit. I wanted him every year in fantasy football because I knew he was going to throw for 250 yards. He's going to have 2 touchdowns. Uh, he may have run for one, but just 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. He's going to be legit for that. But when it
Yeah.
came to the playoffs, he never, it would be the running game failed him. It was this failed him. But Mahomes overcomes that and does the crazy shit that you can't script. And he does it better than like Lamar Jackson was trying to be Patrick Mahomes. I don't understand. Here's a stat for you. The Ravens only ran the ball with running backs on like six times.
That's
Six,
crazy.
and like that's what their offense was built for.
Yep.
And then you got Jackson running out there trying to decide, am I going to scramble and then try and flick it out here? Guy drops a pass, but he was pressing a lot more than what you have expected because run the ball, play defense. That's playoff football. That's AFC North football. That's how you win championships. And they just completely abandoned it. And I don't understand why.
Well, and I heard or read, I can't remember now, that Lamar Jackson, the way he played in that game, looked like someone trying not to make mistakes. So like he didn't play his style game. And I read it because one of the examples I read was he held on to the ball too long, which you probably both remember that strip sack.
Mhm.
And then the fact that they went away from the run game is just bizarre to me. So with that, do you feel like, because you've kind of hit on a couple of things there. One, Patrick Mahomes is amazing. I mean, can't deny it. How do you look at Lamar Jackson now with, Lamar Jackson was the quarterback of the best team in the NFL this year, regular season wise. And Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs go into Baltimore because we're all, everyone's curious to see how they're going to doing it in an away game. And they took care of business. And guess what? We get to watch them in the Super Bowl again this year. So, like, before you guys take that, you probably all saw the Ryan Clark snippet. And I just wanted to read a quote from him with that is that, basically before I read the quote, he says, we always want to piss on Dak Prescott when he doesn't win a playoff game and Josh Allen, and we need to do the same to Lamar Jackson. And that Patrick Mahomes is on a whole new level, on a whole different level, that no one can really compete with him except our very own Joe Burrow, which Ryan Clark says, I quote, it's only Joe Burrow. He's the only one who can slow his heart rate down and compete against Mahomes. So, with that being said, with how great of a season Lamar Jackson had, with how the Ravens had, Josh Allen, and anyone else, does that affect how you look at Lamar Jackson? Or is it more so make you feel like Patrick Mahomes is even like on even a higher level, or both, or whatever?
I think it's both. I think that, like you said, Greg, we can all agree that Patrick Mahomes is on a different level. He's like not human. He just plays he sees the field differently. He just does things that he shouldn't be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that you have Dak, Lamar, and Josh. You just bundle them all in that one bracket of quarterback that plays great in the regular season and then falls off in the playoffs. They just can't, for some reason, it's either a glitch in their head or a blank space that they just can't see. They can't do what they're normally used to doing, whether it's making that key pass or seeing that under route that Stephon Diggs was running that he could have just dumped it off real quick that could have gotten probably 20 yards or so, or Lamar using his legs or checking it down to a run. Or I mean, in Dak's game, we dogged on Dak. He gave up. He had, I think, one or two picks. One was a pick six, but we don't look back at the defense that gave up 42 points. So I mean, yes, a lot of it is on the quarterback. We go back that the quarterback can't win the game. That's what they're paid to do. That's the number one thing. That's what they need to be doing. But they just get lumped in that one lump sum that they just can't win a playoff game when it matters or show up when it matters. And losing at home is, not really supposed to, especially in the playoffs, especially Buffalo and Baltimore. Tough stadiums to play on. Fan bases are super loud. So I mean, having a command of the crowd and your team is huge. And for some reason, it just goes way left. I don't know why, but you just see it differently. Like, and the play calling, like we can rag on these quarterbacks and say that the quarterbacks are bad or that they have a glitch or something's wrong, but it also you have to hold the play callers accountable too.
Mm-hmm.
The people that they're going to play callers, so like not running the ball or dropping back like 86% of their plays, I think, against that secondary that they're playing against is wild. That's just a
Yeah,
poor play call.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why Baltimore would go away from the run game. That was their bread and butter all year. You could run RPOs with Lamar Jackson on every play of the game, and you would likely get 5 yards in a run or 6 yards on an out pass if it's running smoothly. But to only give the running backs the ball 7 times is absurd in the playoffs. Like, it's the playoffs, man. Like, it's cold weather, it's offensive lines, it's your coaching and execution. That's it. Like, I mean, we can get into the Lions and the percentages of everybody getting all bent out of shape because Dan Campbell went for it on fourth down. But
Mm-hmm.
if you look at what his kickers statistics were from like where they were at on the fourth down, they were better off going for it because it was like a 20% difference in likelihood they would get points if they went for it on fourth down there or if they kicked a field goal. But back to Lamar, like it's just feels like there's just certain players that never get over the hump for whatever reason. They just are snake bitten. There's guys that there's guys and gals that get over the hump, and then there's guys and gals that just get to the cusp and they fall back down. Like the myth of like Sisyphus, he's always pushing the rock up the hill, and then eventually it falls back down on him. And for whatever reason, it's just in sports, it's highlighted, and that's like what defines people. It's how many championships do you have, for better or worse? Like everybody's judging you on rings, but I feel like in recent years there's a pushback on that because everybody's like, man, everybody can't just be the greatest or the worst. Like there's got to be a
Yeah.
gray area here where we can like kind of classify people. And we've been using Andy Dalton as the barometer. So I think maybe we should trademark that. The Andy Dalton barometer of playoff success. Get you there, but you're not getting anywhere.
It's like where are you on the Achilles Smith to Andy Dalton to Joe?
Yes.
But
Bengals quarterback timeline.
you're right. Like everything's the greatest now. Everything's the best, and like I'm a big proponent of uh, it's by era because these professional sports have been around for so long now. Um, the big one to take it to another sport is obviously the Michael Jordan and LeBron James debate. LeBron's been to more finals, but Michael has won more and has never lost a finals. You take that argument into football. Joe Montana is 4 for 4, but Tom Brady, that a lot of people consider the goat, he won 7 if you count the Buccaneers, 7 of his Super Bowl appearances, but he lost some as well. Or if you go with the rings thing, Does that mean Robert Horry in the NBA is better than Michael Jordan? Robert Horry has more rings. But one thing I want to say, because I kind of went off, I had some thoughts there with what you're saying, Matt. But like as Marc was talking, I was thinking. So in the last 7 years, there's only been 3 AFC quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl. They are Patrick Mahomes with 4, Tom Brady with 3, Joe Burrow with 1. So I think about it, last 8 years, because I forgot to count this year's Super Bowl, but 8. So the last 8 years, there's only 3 AFC quarterbacks. You want to take it a little further back? You say the one before that was Peyton Manning. So the last time we had a non-Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow was Joe Flacco in the 2012-13 Ravens team. So that kind of puts things in perspective too. Yeah. So like to me, Mahomes is, we already hit that, right? But the fact that, Burrow in 2 healthy years, his name's already in that as well. And, we are the threat to the Chiefs. We almost beat them this year with Jake Browning in Kansas City. So I think the true rivalry to me in the AFC it's not Josh Allen and the Bills versus Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, like Romo wants to always say, and other people too. It's Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes.
100%.
So
It's just wild. Like just the Chiefs, they hit a different level when they get to the playoffs.
yeah,
Like, I mean, they played like absolute dog shit most of the year. I mean, I say that, but they made the playoffs and they were the second seed. But like the level that they like a different gear switches. Something happened on that team where Rice has started to become a player for him. He's not just, they just don't go to Kelsey like all the time. Rice is clearly, starting to be their number 2 target. Uh, Patrick seems really, 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 really likes him. The comfort level there with him is pretty. He seems like he trusts him a whole lot more. I mean, then you got Travis, who plays just out of his mind, and then Pacheco. I mean, the team they click differently in the playoffs. It's pretty wild to see. I mean, I think that's an adamant to Reed, his
yes,
coaching ability. I mean, him just being able to coach these teams like he did in Philly, and then going to the Chiefs and showing them what they could do. So it's really wild. And then I felt bad for Detroit. I mean, I thought they had that first half of the game was just like, what is happening? They're just clicking on all cylinders. But the same thing would happen to the Ravens happened to them. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery who've played outstanding all year, and you decide that you just don't really want to run the ball that much. So like what I didn't like it just goes back down to the play calling, like what we talked about before. Play callers have to get held accountable. Yes, it falls on the quarterback 90% of the time, but it's got to be accountability has to go across the board, not just start with the quarterback. It's got to go with those play callers, and those play callers did not do those players any good.
yeah. And it's weird that Detroit went away from the run, especially with having the lead. You seem like you want to run more clock down even. And to me, the big point was when Jahmyr Gibbs did fumble it though, deep in their territory. The 49ers they already got the momentum, and then that happens, and that to me was like the nail in the coffin. Um, it's crazy because like you're saying, Marc, like that first half, I didn't expect the lines to come out like that. Like they were, I mean, it was the point where I'm like, all right, I guess it's gonna be Lions versus the Chiefs this year. And the 49ers, I give them credit. They kept at it and they worked their way back into it. And I agree with the play calling thing. But more so for like going away from the run. I Matt already hit on it. Dan Campbell, the big thing that people are talking about, right, is going for it on 4th and short. But one, that's what got the lines there this year. That's their style. That's their identity. Secondly, I didn't think about this until Matt said it, but as you're saying, it's like I feel like I watched some Lions games this year where their kicker even missed like extra points. So he's not fooled fully like Badgley. He's not fully trustworthy, and the places they were in the field were no man's land, or it was just better, to go for it. And the NFL is kind of taking that money ball approach, similar to baseball, where you look at the stats and say, like, it says it's better to go for a 2-point conversion here and all that. But the point being too is, we can't blame it all on the quarterback or on the players, but we also can't blame it all on the play callers. We hit on it, right? It's a team. The play callers need to make the right plays or adjust accordingly, and then the players need to execute. And the lines just proved to me that they are, maybe it's just that they're too young still. Like, they had a great year and they had the talent to go to the Super Bowl, but the experience, I guess, that the 49ers have, um, similar to like the Chiefs, even go not to bring that back up, but the Chiefs this is their fourth Super Bowl in 5 years. So for them to go into Baltimore to do what they did, same thing. Like, it does start with coaching. You hit on that, Mark. Like, if you weren't going to hit on it, I was going to say, you good point with the Chiefs playing different football in the playoffs and their players, but Andy Reid starts at Andy Reid, and I think um, Dan Campbell's going to take his lines there soon. And I just hope it's not when we play him in the Super Bowl, because if it's not us, I wouldn't mind seeing the Lions win it. But obviously, we trump everyone.
Oh yeah.
Who you guys taking in the Super Bowl? As painful of a question this is.
I don't know if we should prognosticate on the Super Bowl just yet. We should wait to see what's going to happen this week. Next week we'll get a better. Yeah, we got to see who's going to get caught up in the media hype train, who's going to get derailed and all that.
How about this? How about we rephrase the question for this week, since it's the bye week? Who are you all rooting for in the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, I'll tell you, hands down, Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel to score 3 touchdowns combined, so that I can take down this fantasy postseason deal.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I would like to see. I got no qualms with Kelsey because he's a Bearcat. So at the end of the day, when all the commercials and Dayton T Swift, my wife is a Swiftie. Mark knows about the Swifties. They're in full force. So I don't mind Travis Kelsey winning championship. I have no qualms with anybody. Like, I love the way Deebo Samuel plays football. I love watching McCaffrey, Kittle. But yeah, selfish reasons. I want Christian McCaffrey. We'll say, what is that? Prop bet. Yeah, prop bet Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel touchdowns in the Super Bowl. But I think it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be a good game. I mean, the Niners. We mentioned Mahomes has been to 6 AFC championships. He doesn't lose in the playoffs outside of those games. But the Niners, this is their, I believe, 4th straight NFC championship. So, like, model consistency. McCaffrey's there. Brock Purdy's a little bit more athletic, and I feel a little more clutch than Garoppolo ever was. So you basically get a Super Bowl rematch with a better version of San Francisco. Chiefs with their excellent pass defense. It's going to come down to running the ball, which, again, Super Bowls are won in the trenches. So I really think it's going to be like a 3-point game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be a low-scoring Super Bowl. And, I mean, I want to say that San Francisco's going to win, but I can't go against Mahomes.
Be careful. Predictions are next week.
You're right.
Be careful.
I know these. Yeah, I said these are just initial thoughts. Initial thoughts. Things that are just fucking NFL, man.
I'm just guiding you back. That's all.
I feel you. I feel you
Derailed.
completely.
Ugh.
So what do you guys think about all these? We've seen all these NBA high scoring games. To completely switch topics.
I
'Cause-
want to say real quick, I'm rooting for the 49ers. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Matt, way
Greg.
to, way to
Get back.
derail that segment
Take it back.
real
Take
quick.
it back. You guys take control. I'm gonna mute myself.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure, I want to put it out there that I'm rooting for the 49ers, and it's because the Chiefs are our new arrival right now. And even though I'm old enough to be alive for the last time the 49ers beat us in the Super Bowl, the second one, I don't remember it. I was in kindergarten. I just remember having a party at school and getting this little pendant that my grandma kept on her TV or mantle for the rest of her life that I can remember. So for me, the Chiefs are recent history, and I'm rooting against them, and that's all I want to say, Matt. Thank you.
Dude, my bad.
No, you're fine. I'm just giving you a hard time.
I don't necessarily want to root for anybody, but I guess I have to.
You do have to.
I'm gonna say more leaning towards San Fran. But in our text thread that we did on Sunday, I said that Bosa wasn't gonna win a chip. If San Fran falls behind the way that they did against Detroit, that's a steep mountain to climb back against the Chiefs, because it feels like when they get above, they just step on somebody's neck, which is what you're supposed to do. But
Yeah.
not to get off tap, but not to get derailed like Matt. I'm more leaning towards San Fran.
By the way, I
Yeah.
think I had like 60 something texts and that I was
Yeah,
driving my nieces home.
it got real
It
weird.
wasn't. No, it was not me. But I forgot to address the elephant in the room. Can we three agree that Chase Young is absolutely garbage, like complete garbage, as far as a consistent option? They're talking. What did he post in there? Some article about how they're gonna bench him like the Chiefs are doing with Kadarius Toney. You got to bench him because you don't want him to hurt the franchise when it matters most. Like, he's done nothing. And I know Brian's not here to defend himself. He can listen back to this because he loves to do shit like this. So we're just giving him a taste of his own medicine. Chase Young sucks. Completely overrated. The 49ers should totally bench him and designate him for assignment. He should probably go to what is that, spring football league they got coming up?
UFO.
He should get traded there for a prospect to be in later.
I don't think he's necessarily overrated. I think his career got derailed by injuries, like off a cliff.
Really? But he hasn't done anything. He got what was he drafted? Like top 5, right?
He was second
overall.
Yeah. Okay. Name me another top 5 draft pick that's been traded within his first 4 years in the league for pennies to the dollar.
Baker Mayfield, was he? What year was he when he got traded?
He was the end of the first round. Or no, he wasn't. He was number 1 overall.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
No, you're good, but I don't know if was it within 4 years that Baker Mayfield got traded away? I don't know. I can't remember when he got drafted. Well, okay, hold on. Was it?
No, I think you're right. I think they didn't pick up the 5th-year option, and that's why he went elsewhere. And he was injured the last year that he played. Like,
yeah.
And the Browns completely kicked the pooch. Like, what did the Browns set in motion? You know, right?
Yeah.
All because they bailed on Baker when he was playing while he was hurt.
Yeah, the Browns did him dirty.
Unbelievable.
And I'm not a Baker fan, but he took them to the playoffs the year before and beat the Steelers, who the Browns hate him like we do, right? Then the next season, high hopes, but he's playing hurt all year. And he's still playing and he's gutting it out. And then the thanks he gets is we want Deshaun Watson instead. Bye. And then Deshaun Watson came and played a full season.
No. And he got that crazy contract. I
know.
Unbelievable.
But to answer your Chase Young question, I'm more in the camp of Mark. I don't think he's overrated. I think playing in Washington doesn't help, and then injuries. Now, I will say, I don't know. So I don't know where that San Francisco article came from. Like, I didn't realize he was, I guess, a liability, or I don't know. I don't know. Was that real? Like, it seems like it was real, but like, I don't know. It's just, I didn't. I personally don't think he's terrible at all. But if you're basing off that article, I don't know I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I don't know how truthful it is. Like
credibility. The credibility of the source.
I told you it's almost my best time, so
it's all good. No, that's
you know what I mean? Like
the credibility of it.
Yeah. So like to me, I'm more in the camp of Mark. I don't think he's overrated. I just feel like playing in Washington and injuries didn't do him justice, and for a lot of players, it doesn't do him justice playing in Washington. But yeah, so like I will kind of go on a tangent here that if the 49ers do win, we do have to hear Brian talk about how Chase Young won the Super Bowl before Joe Burrow. I don't want that part.
We'll never not hear that ever.
And Brian knows.
Well,
I'm sure you're listening to it now, Brian, because it's out there now, and you're listening. I know you'll do that because you told me you would, and now I have to hear if the 49ers win the Super Bowl that Chase Young won the Super Bowl before Joe Burrow. I don't care about Bosa because that was a different draft.
I think that Chase Young, he's a difference maker when he's healthy. He showed that he played fairly well his rookie year. There are some videos that came out in this playoff game that showed him taking plays off while he was on the field. Like when Jahmyr Gibbs ran that touchdown, it showed him just like fully standing up, like doing like a light jog. So, I mean, that doesn't help his case matters, but I think that he has the ability and shows flashes that he's a phenomenal player. He's a freak of nature. He has the ability to disrupt the game. But like I said, his career, and it's almost like the Joe Burrow with being injured. I mean, he got injured back-to-back seasons and was out for the entire year. But then go back to Joe Burrow being knocked out, got knocked out half the season and then missed the half the season. I mean, just like his ability, I'm losing my train of thought, but
I get what you're saying, but Joe Burrow like guided the team to 5 playoff wins.
Mm-hmm.
And Chase Young is a cog in the machine. He's not the fucking engine driving the fucking automobile.
With the 49ers?
For the 49ers or for the Commanders?
Either or. Like, he's not. Chase Young did nothing.
I mean,
he did have a nice rookie season, but aside from that, he's not doing anything that makes you say, holy shit, just do what Chase Young did this weekend. He's not doing what like Micah Parsons is doing. He's not doing what TJ Watt's doing, and that's what he was drafted to be. So he's not. I'm just shitting on Brian because he wants to like gloat about all these Ohio State guys. Nick Bosa is legit. Chase Young is shit, and you can't just put him in the same class. All right.
I get what you're saying though. I don't think Chase Young's living up to way he was drafted at, but I think it ties into already what like Marc was harping on was the injuries. You can't play to that level if you're not playing, right? So, and I get Marc's comparison to Joe Burrow because I was honestly thinking this like something like that as well. It's like, but Joe Burrow is a whole different level, right? And franchise quarterbacks are a whole different thing.
Right.
So, but to Marc's point, you know, Chase Young or Joe Burrow is not even playing to his maximum because if he's not on the field, he's not playing his maximum. Hell, besides rookie year, because rookie year the Bengals were still trying to get some pieces together. He could have been to 3 AFC Championship games by now if he stayed. Like this year, if he didn't get hurt in training camp and was able to stay healthy, I don't see any reason why we couldn't have been in the AFC Championship game, if not further. Um, but I get that you want to jab at Brian, so like I'll let you do that part. But I don't think Chase Young is a bust, if that makes sense. I wouldn't go that far either. I think he hasn't played to his draft potential yet, but he is a freak of nature, and if you can keep the man healthy, you could probably see something crazy. Now, he's also not the reason why the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl. I agree with that as well. The 49ers, the 49ers decided like, yeah, we'll take them when Washington was doing their fire sale. But him and Montez Sweat when they were in Washington, you know, they were beasts together.
Yeah.
So I'm like I said, I can't join you, Matt, but I also understand if you want to cause issues or whatever you want to call it. Poke the bear. I get it.
I just like to talk shit.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, that's part of what we do in this, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where he goes, I mean, we'll see how he does. This is only his second full healthy season because he missed the
Yeah.
last two with the what is it, tear his ACL or something both times.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
want.
mean he's had fucked up knees both times.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what he does. I mean, like his rookie year, he played fairly well. He was the driving force on that defense when he played. So I mean, he showed flashes. I mean, comparing him to Michael Parsons, and I get where you were going with that, Matt, and TJ
Mm,
Watt, but that's also comparing to fully healthy players versus
Yeah.
a guy coming off two significant knee injuries and only playing one full year. So I mean, getting his legs under him would be an understatement, but we'll see how he does next year, depending on where he goes.
I was
now,
just saying like that where he was drafted, that's what you were expecting the production.
yeah,
So
the draft value versus the production you're
I
getting.
get it's almost like that
kind of like all the shit with
RG3.
Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, his return's been way high compared to his draft value. Now,
Right?
I have a question. The segue here. If Chase Young didn't get hurt and he played to his draft potential, do you think the NBA would be seeing such high scoring that we're seeing lately? Aha! What I did there.
Nicely done, Greg.
Very
Nicely
nice.
done.
No,
It
it's
is
just been
wild.
crazy. Did you see like the stat? It was like from 1964 to like 1990, there were 8 games of guys scoring 60 plus points. And then it was like 2019 to 2024, and it equaled the same amount.
That's
So the
crazy.
and then it happened like in back to back weeks. One guy scored 70 and one guy scored 60 plus. And I don't know if that's like I don't know what that is. It's just crazy. Like, is that kind of the NBA trying to be like Major League Baseball and like, hey, we got to do something to make the regular season more appealing because everybody realizes it's the playoffs or bust, or is it the fact that LeBron and Steph and Klay Thompson and all of them are getting older and they're about to retire, and it's a wide open league. In the first time in a long time, like There's
Yeah.
a legitimate, I would say, 10 teams that could win the championship. And we haven't been able to say that in, I mean, since before Jordan. I mean, we're
And,
talking in the 80s.
and even then,
We've had this many teams that you could expect to or compete for a championship.
but even then, could you say the 80s? Because it was a lot of Lakers and Celtics. And then when it wasn't the Celtics, it was the Pistons. Or when it wasn't the Lakers,
Well, you had the Sixers won early 80s
yeah.
with Moses Malone. So you had what, like five or six different teams won in the 80s. How many
Um,
teams won in the 90s?
I think it's 4 or 5 in the 80s because the Lakers, that was their decade. The Celtics won
Lakers,
some.
Celtics,
Pistons won
Pistons.
2 in a row.
I think you're right. It was it was five. In the 90s it was four.
Yeah, because the Bulls 6 times in the 90s, and you have the Rockets.
No, it was two. Yeah. Bulls
Well,
and Rockets.
The Spurs did it at the end of the 90s. Remember Tim
Oh
Duncan,
yeah. That was 99,
Robinson?
2000.
Yep. That was 98, 99.
Yeah.
Because the
And then
Lakers
it was
won the MVP after that.
Shaq and Kobe. I mean,
But either way, like I think another thing though, you hit on it early in your argument with like how it's like Major League Baseball and stuff. I think all these sports are just have all these rules that favor the offense. They want higher scoring because you get the general fan into it because they like scoring. Um, I think that's part of it. And if you want to talk about trying to do these things that spice up or get interest during the season, especially with the sports that have the really long seasons, I think what the NBA needs to do is not add more teams that can make the playoffs, but diminish it. Like now we're up to 20 teams out of 30 that have a legit shot of playing in the championship because we have those playing games. Like that's just insane to me. Like I don't know, that just takes away from it even more so from the regular season. And then like I the playing games are exciting, but only if your team's in it and stuff, or you're just a casual fan. But like you have to wait until April for that, right? So like, and then now the mid-season tournament too, which I didn't understand. You know,
yeah,
yeah,
the fucked up court.
yeah, that's how I knew it was a play or a
Yeah.
in-season tournament. I see the solid courts. I'm like, oh, okay, and like still didn't understand all that. But then I found out, the Lakers won it. It's like okay, and then they get crap for celebrating it, which is kind of weird that such a decorated franchise celebrated it. But at the same time, if you want fans to be excited about it, then shouldn't you want the players care enough to celebrate? I don't know. It's confusing. I think though my point with that is I still don't think you should have 20 out of 30 teams make the postseason. But I also think with the high scoring games, I think we're seeing just the favoritism to offenses. Because you see the same thing in the NFL. You see higher, the passing stats are out of this world now. Scores are higher more consistently. I feel like running game's not as important. Baseball, it's home run or strikeout with a lot of people. Um, and even baseball, like not to jump to that because we're not really in baseball season yet, obviously. Like seeing games where it's like 20-15 or something, like what in the world are we playing little league baseball? where you wish you're run ruled so you can go home and play. Like when I was in little league, like I don't mind getting run ruled because I'm tired of staying in this heat while the pitcher on my team can't strike across. Oh, we're run rolled? Shucks. Give me my snack. Go home. But I
Oh
think
no, error.
yeah, exactly. It's like, but I think I think these leagues favor offenses. And
Yeah.
I don't follow NHL to know if there's anything going on there. And MLS is still new to me, but I think soccer is what it is. Like soccer, they just don't change it. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's my opinion. I think it's just the favoritism of offenses, and you see it probably mixed in with what you're saying, Matt, where they're like even besides the amount of teams that can make or win a championship in the NBA, it's hard to say who's the best player in the NBA. Even like I know last year they want to say Jokic was, but yeah, you can say Luka is, or you can say Giannis is. You know, like it's not like I feel like there's a collective now versus where it's a couple guys.
And they all do it differently. So
Hmm.
that's what also makes it cool. Like, I mean, I like it a lot. I just think that everybody's getting used to it. I do think that it sucks that they can't get hand checked anymore. I mean, growing up, like the fact that you can't put your hands on the offensive guy without him like pulling up real quick and now it's shooting foul to
Yeah,
me is fucking it's infuriating because like growing up I loved Gary Payton, who I modeled my basketball game after because I wasn't the best shooter. I could hit some shots, but like I was really good defensively, so I wanted to be like that.
the glove.
And he was he was all over people, like hand check him all the way down the lane. Like I got my forearm on you. Nowadays, he probably have 5 fouls in the first quarter if they let him play that long. I don't know. I hope I know that there's likely going to be like a correction. That's the way it seems to go. Like every league goes in these flows. I mean, if you look at the final scores when Jordan won his championships, I don't think there may have been like two games that were in the hundreds. Every game was like 90 to 80. And if you told somebody today, like, hey, the final score is going to be 95 to 83, they'd
Hmm.
be like, what? Is this the third quarter score? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Did nobody shoot threes?
you have a good point though, because I think like I'm looking it up now because I'm curious, but I feel like I remember seeing when the Bulls played the Jazz, like at least one of the games, maybe the clinching game, of like 80s to 70s. You know, it's like so yeah, so all right, this is the 1998 NBA Finals as an example. The Bulls game 1 against the Jazz. Um okay, so game 1 the Jazz won 88 to 85.
Yeah.
Game game 2 Bulls won 93 to 88. Game 3 the Bulls won 96 to 54. Game
Jesus.
4, the Bulls won 86 to 82. Game 5, the Jazz won 83 to 81. And game 6, the Bulls won 87 to 86. There you have it.
There's been
Wild.
games. Yeah, there's been games that teams have scored 70 points in and a half. And a half now. Like that's like common.
Yeah,
That,
like the Cleveland versus Detroit game tonight. Cleveland won 128 to 121. And Donovan Mitchell scored 45 points.
Yeah. He scored half the final score of one of the teams in 1998.
well, and then, so I'm going to go ahead and read to you last year's finals. So that was between the Boston, or wait, well, I need to go over one more. Sorry. Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. So game 1, the Nuggets beat the Heat 104 to 93. Game 2, the Heat won 111 to 108. Game 3, the Nuggets won 109 to 94. Game 4, the Nuggets won 108 to 95. And game 5, the Nuggets won 94 to 89. Their lowest scoring one.
Yeah.
It's almost like the regular season scores, like Mark just mentioned with Cleveland and you said Detroit,
Hmm.
that game. Those were like all-star final numbers where we know in the all-star game they don't really play defense until like the last quarter because then it's like, oh crap, now we're playing for whatever we're playing for. Those were all-star scores or close to it. Like I've seen scores even higher than what Mark said. We all have
Hmm.
this year. Like 140 something to 130 something. Like that's insane.
Yeah, there was there was one game I think I'm pretty sure they were close to over 300 points combined
Yeah, I
in,
think you're
in an NBA game this year. It was something absurd, but like I don't know. It just I know that everybody's a better shot maker. I've heard JJ Redick talk about it, but I also feel like a lot of these guys they're checking out some of these games. They're just cashing a check. You know what I mean? They're just going through motions. Like, yeah, I want to play defense. I'm going to go to that spot, but I'm not necessarily going to close out on this dude that's going to pull up in front of me.
well,
You know?
especially in the regular season.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're a bad team, what does that benefit you? Like, I need to put up numbers so I can get a whatever contract so I can be the NBA free agency like blows my mind, but I feel like a lot of guys are just trying to be expiring contracts or like be part of these trade deals and then like they don't have to worry about it. There's like a very few I would say it's kind of growing more, maybe like 10 to 15 guys that are like the best that actually want to be the best basketball player. And then like everybody else I feel is like kind of between a 7 and a 5 on how much they want to like play basketball for a living and how much
Well,
they want to cash a check.
and how many games do you remember where like Kobe wanted to sit out to rest, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like Jordan played with the flu, even though that was a playoff game, finals game, I believe. Yeah, finals game. Um, right? Correct me. It was
no,
finals.
I mean, you're right. Like they used to take pride in the fact they would go out and give these people these people paid to see me play, and now it's like somehow it's gotten twisted where it's like, yeah, I don't know if I need to be out there for them, even though
And think,
that
like you
like
said, think of the fans that go there. Like
Hmm.
I've been only to two NBA games my whole life, like regular season games, and I was lucky that this wasn't a popular thing because I went specifically up to Cleveland both times. The first time I got to see Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James. Like if
nice.
Kobe decided to sit out that night or LeBron, well, and then the other game was also in Cleveland, and we went up check out the Nuggets when they had Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin play against again LeBron James and those Cavaliers. Like think of like 12-year-old Matt going to his first NBA game, and he's picking on his little brother Marc, and then finally the game starts, and you realize Michael Jordan isn't playing. He needs to sit out and rest.
Yeah, it's
It's
fucking
not.
bullshit.
Yeah. Now I do have a question real quick, not to go off topic with the sitting out, but as far as the high scoring, which decade was the highest scoring NBA game played in? Marc, you guess first.
Uh, the 90s?
No.
No.
Matt, your turn. What decade?
I would guess the 70s.
Nope. You both are on both sides of it. It was the 80s. So
Ah,
on December 13th,
was it the
1983,
Suns?
huh?
Was it the Suns against the Celtics?
Nope. It was on December 13th, 1983, the Detroit Pistons beat the Denver Nuggets 186 to 184, but it was in triple overtime.
No,
Jesus.
So it was the highest scoring game, but it also
David
took three overtimes.
David Thompson was probably involved, right?
Probably, let me pull it up.
David Thompson I think he was the big guy for the Nuggets in the
I was
80s.
thinking Isaiah Thomas when you said Thompson. Isaiah Thomas was in that game, by the way.
No, I'm sure. Like,
I
dude,
was,
there were a
I was
lot of
thinking
really good
Thompson.
players in the 80s. I would highly recommend the Book of Basketball by Bill Simmons if you like NBA. It's
Mhm.
like he basically like chronicles all the great players and like how many finals they went to, how many MVPs they had,
Hmm.
different things like that to like place them in this pyramid. But there's also a lot of cool like what ifs. Like what if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar never went from the ABA to the NBA?
Or Dr. J was the same way.
Yeah, like different things like that. Like, what if what is it? David Stern didn't block Chris Paul going to that Nuggets. What is that? The Hornets to the Lakers, right?
Yep, the Lakers. So I was
Yeah,
excited, and then it's like, nope, it's not happening. I'm like, what?
yeah. He was like the Godfather. Like, yeah, you're not going to take this trade. You're not going to take
Yeah,
this trade, all right? You take this trade, you're going to be you're going to sleep with the fishes.
And Matt's
yeah.
supposed
I was so upset.
Unbelievable.
Have you read the Jordan rules when you're talking about the basketball books?
I haven't read the Jordan rules, but I
That's
mean,
good.
I could totally get the gist of it. Like, basically beat the shit out of this guy. Don't know easy buckets to the extreme. And you had like a really hateable dude in Lambeer and a really good pest in Rodman. He's a freak, dude. There was somebody I saw some statistic. There was like a 4 game stretch of like Dennis Rodman stats, and it was like he had 20 plus rebounds in 4 straight games with no points scored. And it was while he was with the Bulls. It was like he just rebounded and kick out Jordan. But
That Bulls team was wild.
I
You
mean, I definitely want to read that. What was like something that caught your eye that maybe you don't get from like the like television or like documentaries, Greg? Something in that book that like stood out to you.
I don't know if it's anything that people don't know, especially since it's been a long time now since Jordan played and a lot of stuff's come out. But like some of the interesting stuff to me was how he wanted help around him. Like Jordan, Jordan was Jordan, but even with Jordan, he needed supporting cast. And they brought in Scottie Pippen, and then later on with Dennis Rodman with the second stint. One of the things that sticks out to me that's not really related to on the court is, and it's just, and people know this, but it's crazy to me that Jordan would go play 18 holes of golf on the same day that he plays in the NBA Finals game and still produce the way he did. And that man, he was obsessed with or he still is, I'm sure, obsessed with competition. Talk about poker games, which that could be, I can't remember if that's from the Jordan rules or the Last Dance or both, but like he would play big poker games in his hotel room, and if he lost, he'd be pissed off, and like that man just like certain people to like they're just born with that competition, that drive, and Jordan was one of those guys where he just is all about winning. And I think that's one of the reasons why people say he's the greatest ever. Like he changed the game of basketball. He doesn't have the most rings, but especially for those that watched Jordan play and that knew him as a player before a brand, he was amazing. It was something else about watching that guy play and take over a game. So I can't really like think of anything that sticks out. It's been a while since I read the book as well. It's been years, but it's a good read. I remember, and it's just interesting to hear like the Pistons were always in the way, right? And then they finally got over that hump, and then they became the Bulls that we know, the '90s Bulls. And then all of a sudden you had to play against aliens, Monstars. It's crazy.
all
Truth.
right. You guys have anything else you want to touch on?
Phil Jackson's book is good too. I just want to throw that in there.
Oh yeah. Um, golf. Golf is gonna start heating up here soon. Uh, the season is in full swing, and I think the PGA just is unveiling like this gigantic contract deal with
$1 billion.
yeah, with American partners, so non-Saudi backed. So
Is
who
that the 3
knows?
billion thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen with golf, but it's just don't fuck up the majors. That shit's about to be crazy, and I think that our Super Bowl preview is going to be fire.
What if UFC and PGA combined forces to create a new golf league where you can hit people with golf clubs and try to get a par before they get you.
That's
Yeah, what if
valid.
instead of a sand bunker, you had to like grapple for 20 seconds against Conor McGregor on steroids?
That would make golf real interesting. But
You're in
yeah,
the
I saw,
bunker.
I saw something about $3 billion for PGA, I guess, or golf in general. I guess you clarified it's PGA, but I didn't see what it was all about.
No, I didn't. I didn't read the specifics. I just know that it was the PGA signing a deal, not with Saudi-backed people, and it was a giant number. It looks like when you thought that the PGA and the Live might like join, so that every like the best golfers are playing in the majors, and there's no like qualms with anything. Now I don't know if that's going to be true anymore, or is there going to be like a line in the sand about, hey, the Masters won't let people from the Live play, but Professional Golfers Association tour will, that type shit. So who knows? I'm sure it's gonna work itself out, but I just saw that come across my timeline. So big sporting news in the week
Mhm.
leading up. College basketball is about to get crazy because we're gonna start conference tournaments soon, leading up to the big dance. Um, and one player that I think is unbelievable is the dude from North Carolina, RJ Davis, I think is his name. He's pretty fucking awesome. So look out for him.
Yeah, and look out for us talking about college basketball around the corner more heavily.
Yes, sir.
Through the Super Bowl, we'll hit on the college basketball. We'll start getting some baseball and golf. But yeah, like it's exciting with college basketball. I'm definitely more into it than years past. Again, revived with UC being in the Big 12 and having a fun team that I really like watching. Um, we have the NBA All Star break coming up week after the Super Bowl. So yeah, but I don't have anything else. I think it's just like the 30 other teams that aren't in the Super Bowl will be watching the game.
Right. See everybody next week.
Sounds good.
Go Cats!